Tula Baba.
We need someone who sits on the robot.
Bathed with sufferings, clothed in afflictions, served with unending pains for concern, beautified with cosmetics of humiliation, a full package of torture bestowed in my bosom by the virtue of being an ordinary worker. I used to be held in high esteem, mentioned with dignity, and held in admiration. But under the cruel feet of imperialism, I was crumpled, squashed, and ripped off my glory. My very soul screams in agony from the deepest pits of subjugation. My heart enrages, my blood boils, my whole body trembles under indignation, poised for rejuvenation. The brooding atmosphere is cleared as I look on with disdain. Giving up has never been an option. Arise, ye men and women of valor, zip up the slumber bag and awaken the spirit of the revolution.
I can't hear you.
White
shouting because I think this microphone is not on my side. On. All right, while we get another one. First of all, I think we must give a round of applause to our comrades who put together an opening ceremony. All right. I think we need to increase the volume on the system. So comrades, today is a very, very important day, mainly because we are all under one roof. So welcome to our conference on the dilemmas of humanity, dialogues towards socialism. Welcome, comrades, to people who have come from far, people who have come from around the corner. We know that many of you had to bear with us to get here. You had challenges at the airport, you had challenges to get into a bed at night. For the first time in the history of this place, we have run out of beds. But this is a very good problem to have, because it means that we've come together and we were able to not just fill beds, but overwhelm this space to do the one task that we are here to do together, which is to grapple with our common assessment of the challenges we confront, but also to start thinking about what is the path that we are going to charge towards socialism. Comrades, I have a few announcements before we get into the program properly. First of all, if you haven't seen it yet, there's washrooms around the corner. If you go out of these doors on your left, on my right, you will find some bathrooms here. If you need to get some tea or some coffee, there's a station right at the back outside the room. We hope that you are going to be able to be comfortable. Then we know we have some challenges with translation. It is as a result of the interference with the live streaming. So the translation, as soon as we have concluded our opening day, we will be able to listen to the various languages with these 4 channels. The first channel, channel 1, is on the floor. Channel 2 is going to be French. Channel 3, Portuguese. And channel 4 is going to be Kiswahili. Then, I've mentioned this already, we are very happy because today, even though there are 200 of us under this roof, there are many, many hundreds and thousands more following us on Pan-African television. We are live this morning in Ghana. Following us on the Pan-Africanism Today Facebook page, we are live there as well. So not only am I greeting the many comrades who've come together in front of us today, but I'm also greeting all our viewers in Ghana, which broadcast through to more than 46 different countries. So we're clapping hands for our comrades all over the world. We are only going to be live and public for this opening ceremony. Once we break into commissions this afternoon, we are going to be continuing with the program behind closed doors. But we are also going to be live on the last day, on Thursday, when we get to announce, not to ourselves only, but to the world at large, what are some of the very important resolutions that we expect to be taken at this historic conference. So we'll be live this morning and we will be live again on Thursday. We encourage you to please encourage all your comrades who couldn't make it to be here physically to join us on Pan-African television, on the PAT Facebook page, to follow those pages, because that is where we are able to not just keep in touch, but also get updated about the work that we are doing in our respective corners of the continent. If you do want to use social media, there are 2 hashtags that are being used. The first is hashtag Build Socialism. The second one is hashtag Dilemmas of Humanity. And throughout this conference, we are very privileged to be able to have media partners who are going to continue covering our discussions, going to be interviewing us on the side. You'll find some of them have badges that say media. It's our comrades from Pan-African Television, from People's Dispatch, and from Viwata FM, who are covering our conference for the next 4 days. Can we clap hands for our media comrades? My last announcement is a request that I'm repeating, which is please will you, number one, if you are on the Wi-Fi network, please stay off it for the next few hours so that the quality of our live stream can be good. Secondly, please can I request that comrades keep their phones on silent because we don't want to interrupt the very important interventions that we are expecting this morning. Our program is going to start off with 2 welcoming inputs from 2 of the most important leaders of the working class in this part of the world, followed by a keynote address by Comrade Kwesi Pratt. I will introduce our panelists as they come up to make their intervention. Then we will receive a brief report on the progress that we've made over the last 5 years since the last time we gathered like this. We will then break into commissions where we will start the very important and very ambitious work of this conference, which is to go beyond the diagnosis that we've had and that we've built together over the years and start articulating the path that we are going to lay. Ultimately, when we say forward to socialism, we're saying that as more than a slogan, but as a commitment to concrete work that we need to do together. And the task of this conference is to grapple with the nature, the content, the form of that concrete work. So with those few words, comrades, it is my great pleasure to welcome to the podium Comrade S'bu Zikode. He's the president of Abahlali, baseMjondolo, a social movement that has been at the forefront of fighting against all forms of social deprivation, but also that is starting to put onto the table in their actual practice the kind of world that we are trying to build. Comrade S'bu leads an organization of more than 100,000 people here in South Africa, and we are very privileged to receive his intervention and his welcoming to this conference as part of kicking us off. So please can we put all our warm hands together for Comrade S'bu Zikode.
We do not have Amanda until we take Amanda. Amanda will never be given. Amanda are taken. Amanda! Program Director, Comrade Jonas, Comrade Kwesi, Comrade Irvin Jim, Comrade Cosmos, our warmest welcome to our comrades from across Africa and those that are joining us online. It is wonderful for us all to be together here at the Nduma School. Our struggle to humanize the world embraces the whole world, and Pan-Africanism and internationalism are central to our struggle. We must thank Pan-Africanism today, which is a new formation that is now led by Comrade Jonas, for connecting radical organizations across Africa, and for running the Nkrumah School, which has been a wonderful contribution to our studies. It has given us confidence to many of our leaders and enabled us and grassroots Pan-Africanism, a movement to movement Pan-Africanism that has never been possible before. So our salute goes to Pan-Africanism today. We have a Frans Fanon School in Durban, comrades, in the Kenana commune. Comrades who study there then come here to the Nkrumah School, Amalka Cabral, and then next is to go to ENFF School of the MST in Brazil. These schools are a huge achievement for our studies, and we need to do all that we can to protect and advance them. We need to ensure that we build more and more movements managed politically across Africa and around the world. So it is important that we protect and advance these schools as a heritage to be cherished so that our future generations can benefit from these schools. Comrades, yesterday I was called to the Kennedy Road settlement in Durban, where our movement was formed, where I lived for many years. Thousands of people had lost their homes in a terrible fire. Almost 30 years after apartheid, we continue to live in life that are threatening. Our lives do not count to society. In fact, the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer. Almost 70% of young people are unemployed. Violence is becoming worse and worse. When we stand up for our humanity, we face prison, assassination, Izingani, and so on. Last year, 3 of our comrades were assassinated, and the 4th one was murdered by masked police officers. There is no democracy for the poor and no justice for the poor. We did not know that when we insist on our humanity, we would find ourselves in war. But we are in war, a war that is fought with live bullets, rubber bullets, tear gas, courts, prisons, lies, and slanders. We fight that war in our occupation, in the courts, and in the media. We fight it with our unity and our courage. We fight it by insisting on your humanity and on the full and equal humanity of all the people. Make no mistake, comrades, the African National Congress are our new oppressors. They leave us to live like pigs in the mud and jail and murder us when we insist on our humanity. Our people now refer to them as Amasela. Hey? Yo. Yeah. Amasela. Abahlali. Thieves and murderers. Our people are not wrong. Although the African National Congress have betrayed the people that brought them to power, our people are not defeated. Resistance continues. Our movement continues to grow. Some of our comrades have committed themselves to socialism or death. Nothing is possible without courage, and we are surrounded by courage. And you comrades are courageous. And you comrades are giving us a hope. We know that we were made poor so that others could be made rich. We know that we are kept poor so that others can remain rich. We know that there is enough wealth in the world to ensure that poverty is abolished. There can be no justice until the capitalist system is removed from the earth and land. Wealth and power are fairly shared. For us, socialism, or what we have sometimes called a living communism, must be built from below, commune by commune. Socialism is not just an idea, it is a way of we know that the African National Congress and the states are monsters that will destroy our efforts if we are not able to build enough power to defend our gains. To be strong, we must be together. We also know that even partial victory in our country will quickly come under attack from the imperialist powers. We have seen what has happened in Haiti, Bolivia, and in many countries across the world. There is realities that can seem overwhelming, but we do not suffer alone. The poor of Harare, Nairobi, Lagos, Accra, and cities across Africa face the same oppression, and do the poor of Sao Paulo, Bombay, and cities across the world. Workers face the same oppression around the world. There is also resistance everywhere. All over the world, there are people who are saying no to oppression and yes to human rights. And what are we saying today? No to oppression, yes to human dignity. All over the world, there are people who are saying that the wealth of the world belongs to all the people of the world. It belongs to those in rural villages where comrades in Vuatas are working. It belongs to the people in our townships, to people in our sheds, and people who are living in those so-called farm areas. On our own, we are vulnerable. Together, we are strong. Together, we can win. Together, we can humanize the world. Our movement is rooted in land occupation across the country. We have hope to turn each occupation into a democratically managed and productive commune where there is no rent and land is bought and sold. We are committed to those kind of communes. We hope to build a movement of communes and then a Pan-African and internationalism and movements of movements. The great challenge for us has been the difficulties in connecting with radical movements across Africa and around the world. PANS and the Gruma School have made a huge contribution in advancing our ability to be closely connected to movements in other countries. And they have always respected the autonomy and internal democracy of the movements that they engage. This question of how we link our movement and struggles across Africa and around the world is critical because in the past, NGOs controlled all the networking. They have claimed to represent us when they have no mandate to do so. They have marginalized and tried to undermine organizations. They take direction from their members instead of NGOs. This is what happened with the World Social Forum. It happened with the so-called social movement in Durban many years ago. There are some left NGOs like PATS, like the Socio-Economic Rights Institute of South Africa, that are able to work with movements on a democratic and respectful basis to support the building of the power of the oppressed. These NGOs have our respect. They are our comrades. However, some left NGOs and academics think they should substitute themselves for our movement, that they should think and decide for us. We must be vigilant about attempts at NGO pressure of movements, organizations, and their spaces, events, and other projects. We must be wary comrades about those NGOs. Sometimes I refer to them as regressive forces who think it is their job and their mandate to think for us, decide for us, speak on our behalf, represent us, and eventually decide for us. And sometimes in Abahlali we call them losing cannons. They are accountable nowhere. The autonomy of popular organization must be respected, and it must be clearly understood that while NGOs and academics and left celebrities are welcome to participate in movement spaces, when they are invited to do so, they have no right to assume that they should have the power to give political direction to the organizations of the poor and the working class. Know your lane, remain on your lane. Our organizations are strong because they take their political direction from their members, and on this principle, there can be no compromise. Because our humanity is non-negotiable, and our autonomy and the right to think and decide for ourselves is non-negotiable. We can negotiate other stuff. In many countries, the forces of oppression are trying to divide the oppressed against each other on the basis of religion, language, ethnicity, and so on. Here, there is a major attempt to divide the poor by blaming migrants for the problems faced by the majority of the people. Oppression wants to turn us against each other so that we do not unite against oppression. This is a great danger that confronts our hope for justice. Nobody is poor because their neighbors speak a different language, follows a different religion, or was born in a different country. This is why we say that a neighbor is a neighbor, and a worker is a worker, and a comrade is a comrade, no matter where they were born. That religion what religion they follow, or what language they speak. A comrade is a comrade. So as a human being is a human being whenever and wherever they find themselves. No compromise on that. No human tolerance. In all our countries, it is vital that we resist these attempts to divide the oppressed. We have to build unity in struggles and unity between struggles. This meeting is a wonderful opportunity for us to get to know each other personally, to learn about each other's organizations, struggles, to learn from each other, to build the unity and to take our struggles forward, to begin to build a movement of movements, and to identify and confront our real enemy. And our real enemy cannot be one of us. Each of us who is here today has been entrusted by our organizations to undertake this important work. We have been entrusted with a very important responsibility. If we can use these next few days wisely, we can build a platform to ensure real solidarity in the future, a living solidarity, and to take our struggle to a higher level. Every comrade here has something to learn from every other comrade here. Every movement here has something to learn from every other movement here. This week should be a time for learning, growth, and building our future. Our political school in Durban is named after Frantz Fanon, a great philosopher. Frantz Fanon famously said, every generation must discover its mission, fulfill it or betray it. I hope we have discovered our mission. We are in the process to fulfill it or betray it. That is why in Abahlali we say, socialism or death. We have made ultimate sacrifices. We have lost lives. But we cannot surrender. We do not compromise. And we say we cannot go back. This is a task that we have to take forward this week. If we use this wonderful opportunity wisely, we will look back on this week in years to come as a week that opened up new possibilities for solidarity and struggle. New possibilities to humanize the world. New possibilities for the humanity and the dignity of all the people to be recognized. Let us use this week to take forward in the work to discover and fulfill our mission. I thank you.
So, comrades, I realize that I forgot to tell you who I am, but I'm honest. My task is that of coordinating the PAC Secretariat and to share a stage with people who have much more important contributions to make than me. So that's how I'll shift to introduce our next speaker. So we are, again, very happy to have with us today Comrade Irvin Jim. He's the General Secretary of the National Union of Metalworkers of South Africa. NUMSA is a trade union that has a very long and important radical history, but it's also the most radical trade union, the biggest industrial trade union on the continent, and has played a very important role together with Abahlali, together with S'bu, together with the Socialist Movement of Ghana, in being the North Star along which we were able to bring together many of us in this room. So I know we are resolving some technical questions, but comrades, in the meantime, I think we must welcome with a warm round of applause, Comrade Irvin Jim.
Comrades, good morning. I have got a task of welcoming you, and I was asking, I know that Jonas and S'bu feel very strong about this important. S'bu has welcomed you, comrades. Can we clap hands for S'bu? And I must say, I'm very clear in my mind that out of 28 countries, we have got here not less than 63 organizations. And I think we must give ourselves a big round of applause. And I notice everybody I know, I've seen, but I'm going to mention one important trade union, Yama Polisa. That's why I'm mentioning this union. It's a union that has got a stubborn relationship with NUMSA. When everybody thinks that this union is gone, but this union's relationship with NUMSA is the most stubborn relationship. And that union is SAPU. They have blessed us with their president. I saw the leadership spokesperson. I've seen the DGS is here from SAPU. I can't mention all of you. I'm here to join S'bu. And as I was told that, yeah, you're going to go to the podium, so I asked to do what? To welcome the delegates to the conference. I had to think a little bit. More so because there are many slogans for socialism. Socialism is the future. Socialism has been everything to us in terms of Marxism and Leninism. It has been a guide to practice. It has been a particular framework of looking to society. And something strange happened to me last night. I remembered this preface on the three sources of three component parts by Lenin. And I remember that there are students here. And I don't know, we can debate this, we're going to commissions this afternoon. But he says this. He says people always have been the foolish victims of deception and self-deception in politics. And they will always be until they have learned to seek out of the interest of some class or the other behind all moral, religious, political and social phrases, declarations and promises. Champion of reforms and improvements will always be fooled by the defenders of the old order until they realize that every old institution, however barbarous and rotten it may appear to be, is kept going by the forces of certain ruling classes. And there's only one way of smashing the resistance of those classes. And that it is to find in the very society which surround us the forces which can, and owing to their social position, must constitute the power capable of sweeping away the old and create the new, and to enlighten and to organize those forces for the struggle. Vladimir Lenin was very clear here. Before the new can be born, the old must die.
But he says the old is very stubborn. It's refusing to die. There are particular class interests that keep this rotten system going on. But he says, just like we are gathering here today to ask ourselves hard questions about how do we build socialism today, we are here to find one another. We are here to say, separated by rivers, by forests, we are for another world. A world free of oppression, a world free of exploitation. We are for a world that advances humanity rather than greed. This is a big question because we are in a conference that is preparing for a bigger global conference in October. We are just a region in the African continent. That's why part of what we need to do as delegates to this conference is to reflect, is to read, is to use those commissions to strengthen your political confidence. There is nothing complicated on this. Workers and the working class are the producers of wealth. Not so. Yes. Workers and the working class, they get robbed broad daylight. Their labor surplus value. The struggle in society is about who own and control the labor surplus value that the working class produces. And therefore there's no confusion in society. You must choose side. There is a class that lives by selling its labor, which is the working class. There is the capitalist class that lives by oppressing and exploiting the working class. It robbed us broad daylight, the labor surplus value that the working class produces. It is this contradiction that we are here to reflect on. A contradiction between labor and capital. This contradiction is a fundamental contradiction. This contradiction cannot be resolved by a prayer. This contradiction can only be resolved by the revolution. Yes. We're here to reflect, not only in the African continent, but across the world. What is a revolutionary agenda that we should be building solidarity around, coerce around? We must challenge our own oppressors where we are. We can't be global without being national. So we must face the bourgeoisies that are oppressing and exploiting the working class, subjecting them to poverty, unemployment, and inequalities. So I'm saying Lenin is speaking to us this morning. You are those forces capable of sweeping away the old and to create the new. We are not only here to be critical, but we are here to talk to each other with complete, absolute respect and love. To consolidate ourselves and to consolidate the revolution. The people's flag is deep as red. United we stand, divided we fall. In welcoming all our comrades this morning, we must be upfront that we are extremely excited and very happy to welcome all of you from Sub-Saharan Africa and the rest of the African continent. We're obviously meeting against severe backdrop of the working class and the people of the world being under siege from the disastrous global Olympic failure of the capitalist system, whose legacy of colonialism and imperialism have kept the African continent, despite all our mineral riches, but we remain at the bottom of the food chain. Yini leya feli Africa. Why do we continue to be at the bottom of the food chain when this continent is very rich? That we used to sing. ethi baphina abafazi enabavalela emajele. Yeyanina yentlupheko. Baphina abafazi enabavalela emajele. Kutheni na kunjenje, kunjenje, kutheni na kunjenje, nasiyabusa. Kutheni na kunjenje, kunjenje, kutheni na kunjenje, kunjenje. Why Africa, when it has got all the riches of the world, 90% of platinum in the world is here in the platinum belt in Rustenburg. All other minerals in the movement from fossil fuels to renewable, in the movement from what you call these cars, combustion engines to electric vehicles, all of those minerals are here. But Africa continues to be at the bottom of the food chain. At what point as this continent we stop chasing each other on the basis that you're from this particular fake border and the country, at what point do we focus to beneficiate those minerals, to build our economies, to trade with each other, to smash poverty, unemployment, and inequalities? At what point do we revisit the role of the state to intervene in the economy? If you doubt that there is a model in the world, is China today. They focus on a state that is intervening in the economy, a state that is not following the Washington consensus, a state that is doing everything in the interest of its own people. Today, ourselves and the people of the world are not only victims of bloody war imposed by NATO to the people of the world, presented as Russia-Ukraine war, but our people are victims of global inflationary pressures, where lives are lost daily. The USA recent deployment of cluster bombs bring us closer to precipice of a nuclear world war. Pansi in the United States, their bombs, pansi. Our coming together to prepare for our deliberate, convened Dilemmas of Humanity conference takes place in October 2023, as in our shores remind us as revolutionary forces who have gathered here today of the journey we have traveled together when we crystallized Pan-Africa program, which has led to the crystallization of the International People's Assembly, the IPA. We have no words to appreciate and to thank Pan-Africa today, IPA, for indelible work they did in networking us with membership-based progressive movements of the working class, peasants and urban poor across the length and breadth of the African continent, and in the rest of all the other continents of the world. Comrades, you are welcome, feel at home. We are gathered here to reflect on the journey we have traveled when we met in Dilemmas of Humanity in Brazil in 2015 as a movement-driven revolutionary project hosted by MST, Brazil Landless Workers Movement, the largest social movement on the planet. Even then, we were confronted by the deep structural crisis of capitalism when it collapsed in 2008, which led to uprising that started in Tunisia, moved through to North Africa, into the Middle East and Southern Europe, and sparked the occupation of Wall Street movement in the United States. Of course, we were not surprised, as capitalism always goes through booms and busts. Capitalists make profit regardless of any situation. They make money during drought. They are very funny. They make money during war, but the working class and the poor consistently suffer under the capitalist system, which has no solutions for problems that confront humanity. A system that breeds all social ills. Capitalism. Every problem you can think about comes from the greed of the capital system. Even individuals who become a problem, when you look at it, you call it capitalism. It is important for us not to be overwhelmed by today's challenges confronting the working class. This includes the importance of properly appreciating our strengths, weaknesses, and victories we have secured. One of the important victories that we must appreciate is the fact that many formations that are represented here today have been crystallized as a result of the work we did from Dilemmas of Humanity on a journey we started in Brazil. A journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step. We are brought together by a united resolution here of asking difficult questions, such as, how do we build socialism in today's brutal imperialist decade? How do we renew our revolutionary credentials as comrades who are loyal and committed to class struggle? How do we organize the working class as a class for itself? How do we wield working class power to pursue class struggle as the only guarantee for fundamental change to overthrow capitalism and replace it with socialism? How do our strategy and tactics help us to impose a revolutionary agenda on BRICS? How do we ensure that Putin is not arrested in our shores? Pansi no banjoka Putin, Pansi! On this, that is not up for debate. One thing that is not up for debate is an appreciation that there is just no better cause in the continent and in the world than to build and defend organizations of the working class. The movement demands women and men who are prepared to take up this omnipotent battle. A battle to build and strengthen this working class formation rooted in Marxism and Leninism, which is not a dogma, but applied in concrete conditions of struggle. The revolution in our continent and in the world demands working class leadership that understand that the struggle for socialism demands from us more than just being theoretically correct, but to give the enemy no quarter, no free ammunition, and that we must master our strategy and tactics in the interest of the working class and in the interest of the revolution. As we cannot continue to repeat the same mistake, we must learn from our mistakes so that we do not repeat them. Building international solidarity separated by rivers and forests is our task. Pursue class struggle, challenging and overthrowing capitalism and imperialism, and replace it with socialism. What is compulsory, which demands our collective effort, is how do we build a revolutionary cadre? A cadre that understands the importance of revolutionary consistency. It's difficult, comrades, to build a commune. It's easy to destroy. We have the task of building a revolutionary cadre. That's why we run these political schools, to raise levels of consciousness. But what do we expect from a cadre? From a cadre we build it. We expect revolutionary consistency. Ungesinyuka ngathi irand stock exchange kodwa unikombi. Can you clap hands for revolutionary consistency? We must mobilize the working class as an attitude of mind and a way of life, as it is the only class group capable of carrying the revolution to its logical conclusion. And we must once more demonstrate to everybody that socialism is the vital force of our time. NUMSA comes out of a tradition of worker democracy, worker control, and is committed to the principle that Marx laid down in the first rule of the rules of the First International, that the emancipation of the working classes will be conquered by the working class themselves. Our union preamble makes it compulsory that in pursuit of this class struggle, the working class must set aside prejudice and unite. Its economic vision is about ending economic exploitation of the working class, from each according to its needs to each according to its ability. One of the revolutionary tasks we are confronted with is how do we unite the working class behind a revolutionary program? So, what does that mean? It means first we need a revolutionary program. So don't tell us that there's elections next year. We know, can we clap hands? We know it's elections. But the fundamental question, how do we put together a revolutionary agenda? How do we mobilize the working class behind that revolutionary agenda? A revolutionary program that affirms the working class into ownership and control of our country's commanding heights, minerals and land, and ultimately build an inclusive economy on whose center stand our people. And how do we ensure that the working class, as producers of wealth, their social surplus is equitably distributed among themselves? One of the important tasks we have is that through these working class formations, we must wrestle with the struggle against imperialism through international solidarity and take up the fight to uproot neoliberalism, which consistently hold back the wheels of history. In our nation state, on whose center stand Washington Consensus, led by Bretton Woods institution, IMF, World Bank. Most importantly, take up the battle to fight for the role of the state in all aspects of our life. A state that intervenes in the economy, a state that directs and redirects development on behalf of the people. We must unapologetically challenge the continuous imposition of sanctions led by the empire, the United States, against 30% of the population of the world, whose victims continue to be Cuba, Venezuela, Iran, Zimbabwe, among many others. And we must continue to take up a stand in defense of the people of Palestine against the racist Zionist Israel. Part of this vicious agenda that we must consistently fight against is a now open and now hidden agenda where the working class formations are under attack to weaken, to fragment this organization of the working class through a neoliberal agenda and a dogma which openly promotes NGOs, sometimes even activist celebrities, while simultaneously oppressing and stigmatizing genuine working class formation. Unite us, don't divide us. The simplest understanding of what I am talking about is that imperialism and capitalism is so vicious, comrade, to a point of funding their own churches, like the Pentecostal in Brazil, that ran and supported a fascist like Bolsonaro against Lula da Silva, the president of the people of Brazil. The forces of the capitalist ruling class also form their own trade unions, their own civil society organization and NGOs. The mission here is to keep the working class marching, promoting class harmony in a class-divided society. The mission is to never allow the working class to see the strategic importance of organizing itself as a class for itself. One of their things they fear the most is the unity of the unemployed and organized working class. One of the missions we must drive successfully is to unite the unemployed with all workers who work, because every worker who's got a job support 5 to 6 extended families. If you reflect on the fact that we remain at the bottom of the food chain, our people do not have jobs, we give solidarity to the unemployed. And therefore, unemployed people, they must join, they must swell our ranks. We must continue to champion their interests. This unity of the unemployed and employed is a strategic importance. This is at the core of hatred against independent, against working class formation, because they think this will abort. You know what is the threat? The threat is that they want us to continue with poverty alleviation program. We must never conquer power for ourselves. No, we don't want a loaf of bread. We want the entire bacon for the working people. I'm going to shut up by reminding all of us about what Chris Hani would have said when he was grappling with this question of socialism. He said socialism is not about big concept and heavy theory. Socialism is about decent shelter for those who are homeless. It is about water for those who have no safe drinking water. It is about health care. It is about life of dignity for the old. It is about overcoming huge divide between urban and rural areas. It is about decent education for all our people. Socialism is about rolling back the tyranny of the mother. As long as the economy is dominated by an unelected privileged few, the case for socialism will exist. Many thanks to me. I have behaved, Johnny didn't believe us.
When they clarified for us why we came. We know we are here, comrades, ultimately not to say that we are hungry, not to ask for a loaf of bread, but to figure out how are we going to get the bakery, comrades. So, with that, I want to invite I hope you are now feeling welcome, comrade. You were welcome twice, but now it's time for our keynote address. So I want to invite Comrade Kwesi Pratt, who is the General Secretary of the Socialist Movement of Ghana. Many of us know him. We know the work that he has done, not only over the last 5 years, but really over a lifetime. So we look forward to his intervention to formally get us thinking in this very important conference. So on that note, Comrade Kwesi, the microphone is yours.
I'm told that my purpose this morning is to deliver a keynote address. I tried so hard to find the key and haven't found it yet.
And borrow you one.
And I'm not even sure that this is going to be an address. This is just a comment speaking to Congress about our situation today and how to get out of that situation today. This is just another comrade from Ghana, from Africa, and from the world, speaking to comrades from all over Africa. A comrade who does not know it all, a comrade who is prone to mistakes like all of us. But I am happy to start this conversation. I'm happy to start this conversation because our world is in a precarious situation. I'm happy to start this conversation because of the hunger that is gripping the world, all corners of the world. I'm happy to start this conversation about rising unemployment everywhere. I'm happy to start this conversation because our world is facing the threat of a terrible economy. I'm happy to start this conversation because I believe firmly that all of us, every one of us, has a responsibility to contribute to building a better world. A better world in which no woman is oppressed. A better world in which every child has an opportunity to go to school. A better world in which hunger is banished. A better world in which the resources of the world will be exploited for the benefit of all the peoples of the world. A world in which these resources will not be exploited in order to fill the bank accounts of multinational corporations operating for the colonial metropolis. A world in which all of us will look after each other. A world in which all of us will work together to ensure the prosperity of all nations and of all people. And that world is only possible under socialism. There's no question about that. Comrades, the language in which we have described this conference is interesting. It's sweet. It's high quality. We are told that this conference is about the dilemmas of humanity. What is that? What is the dilemmas of humanity? Look at all the beautiful words here, diamonds, Africans, and so on. Simply put, we are here as a people committed to change, to understand what it is that we want to change, to devise means for that change, and to ensure that that change happens by all means possible. All means possible. That change must happen. That is why we are here. We are here to look at our history, to learn the important lessons of our history, and to apply those important lessons of our history to our today, so that we can together march forward victory after victory after victory. Socialism is established. That is our purpose of being here today. I want to submit that we can assess this conference. There are many ways of assessing this conference. This conference will not be assessed by the brilliant speeches that we make from this program. This conference will not be assessed by the quality of the resolutions we pass after our meetings. This Congress will not be assessed by the numbers of organizations of people who gathered here today. This conference must be assessed by the extent to which we achieve our revolutionary objectives and make sure that all these reactionary neo-colonial governments breaking out from everywhere in Africa are put in right places. Their right places are nothing but the dustbin of history. That is what they do. Comrades, we will soon be getting into commissions. Commissions to discuss the most important things we think that affect our people. Commissions to discuss how we move forward, how we achieve our objectives and so on. What are we discussing in these commissions? We will certainly be discussing the land question in this commission. What is the land question? What is the land question? We discuss it in highfalutin terms and so on. The land question simply is, how do we utilize these vast lands, the minerals embedded in them and so on? How do we utilize them to solve human problems? That's all. How can we have all these lands with diamonds embedded in them, with oil embedded in them, with gas embedded in them? These lands that can produce plantain, that can produce rice, that can produce cocoyam and so on, and still have hungry people anywhere in the world. This is the question that faces us. The question we must answer is whether we can continue to maintain a system with this land only to those who can afford to buy it. That's the question that confronts us. The question that confronts us today is whether we can continue to allow a system of land tenure who simply says that those of us whose grandfathers were thieves and buccaneers, those whose grandfathers were bullies, who went around waging wars to capture other people's land, should continue to hold those lands. That's the question before us. The question before us is whether or not in South Africa today, the minority which imposed harsh, racist, criminal, colonial occupation on us should continue to own the vast majority of lands in South Africa. That's the question before us. The question before us is whether the tillers of the land should be the real owners of the land. The question before us is whether land should be used in order to create employment so that all of our people can have something to do in order to put food on the table, something to do in order to make it possible for people to live in decent housing. So that is the land question. What do we do with land? Who should own the land? Who should benefit from the exploitation of the land? Do we have a situation where land lies fallow and people have no land on which to live? People have no land on which to grow food. That is the land question. And this conference must come up with clear strategies for making the real people the real owners of our lands everywhere in the world in Africa. That is our challenge. Seeing the program for this conference, one of the things we are going to be discussing in this conference is the gender question. What is the gender question? What is the gender question? Can anybody provide any justifiable reason why the majority of people on this earth are not given equal access to education? And the majority of people on this earth are women, are mothers, are sisters, are wives, and so on. Why can they not fully participate in the processes of development? I come from Ghana. Comrades, I come from Ghana. The official statistic says that 52% of the population is made up of women. Is it not only madness which will dictate that the country that suffers from all the problems that we suffer, we should keep 52% of the population out of the processes of making decisions about the destiny of the country? Is it not only madness which will dictate that the country with 52% of the population should keep that 52% out of the process of production? We are socialists and we are fully committed to the full integration of women in all aspects of national life and international life. We are fully committed. Without hinder participation of women in all the processes which maintain life, which improve life, and which will build a brighter future for everybody in this land. That is our commitment. And that commitment, I'm sure, will find expression in the final resolutions of this conference. Today, there's a problem that confronts the world. The forces of imperialism came here, they killed us, they enslaved us, they stole everything that belongs to us. They trampled on our rights and so on. Then they got into a senseless war, a war against themselves in the 1940s. And they marched our people, our forebears, our grandfathers, to fight in useless wars that do not concern us. They fought in the First World War. They fought in the Second World War, not to liberate themselves, but they fought on behalf of their colonizers. That situation would never arise again, because we would not fight in the intra-imperialist wars anymore. We would not fight on the side of Britain. We would not fight on the side of France. We will not fight on the side of Germany, and we will not, never fight on the side of the United. When they go and pick their fights, and they cannot win their fights, they turn to Africa and say, why are you not with us? We are just to take up with you.
Where are you?
Well, clearly, after the so-called collapse of the Berlin Wall, we heard of the agreements that were made. And the agreements were made well, that with the collapse of the Warsaw Pact states, NATO would not advance its wars. We all heard that. How come that all of a sudden, all the agreements are thrown away, and NATO begins to expand its wars? And then, that guy, what is his name? That guy, what's his name?
Zelensky.
Zelensky, yes, that's Zelensky. And Congress, something amazing is happening in Ukraine. Something fascinating is happening in Ukraine. The people of Ukraine are dying. They are complaining the people of Ukraine are dying. Ordinary working people are dying in Ukraine. Bombs are dropping on Ukraine. And the president is developing a pork belly.
Yeah.
The president of Ukraine is developing a pork belly in the midst of war. Doesn't that tell you something? Congress, they went and picked up their own wars. Zelensky was calling for nuclear weapons on the soil of Ukraine. Nuclear weapons to do what? To produce chocolates? We don't produce chocolates with nuclear weapons. He was calling for nuclear weapons on the soil of Ukraine. And they continued the provocation. And they started moving these wars. Now there's an outbreak of war. And they turn to Africa and say, Africa, what are you doing? Africa is thinking about how to fight against the entrenchment of new colonialism. Africa is thinking about why today we have more resources than any continent in the world, and yet we are so poor. That is what concerns us, not the war in Ukraine. What concerns the African people is how to improve the conditions of housing of our people. Not whether or not Zelensky, that is the name. Not whether or not Zelensky will have an opportunity to grow his pork belly. That doesn't concern. They will no longer fight their wars for them. Let them fight their own wars. We will fight our own battles. And our own battles are are for food. Our own battles are for expanding access to education. Our own battles are about improving our people's access to quality health. Our own battles are about how to shake imperialism off our backs. Our own battles are about unity with the rest of the world, suffering imperialist aggression and oppression. Those are our battles, not their battles against Comrades, there's a lot to us. Today, I'm happy that in our midst today is the Trade Union Congress of Ghana, a delegation from the Trade Union Congress of Ghana. I am happy that the trade union movements which work with us in the West African People's Organization are here. And I'm happy that NUSA is playing the key role that's always played. Today, our trade union movements are faced with a very dire situation. Governments and governments after governments in Africa are busily eroding trade union rights, and we must not allow that to happen. We must stand up and fight until all trade union rights are. One of the key questions on our continent today is the casualization of labor. Casualization of labor is becoming a problem for all trade unions. Today, workers no longer have fixed contracts anywhere. Labor has been casualized. So workers are denied the basic rights they used to enjoy. They retire with no benefits. Their entitlements to healthcare and so on is being eroded. We have a responsibility to stand shoulder to shoulder with all the trade unions of the continent, with all the trade unions in the world, to resist the capitalization. Comrades, in some places, even the formation of trade unions has become a problem. In Ghana, where I come from, the TUC is currently engaged in a battle to ensure that 3 union members of the Mine Workers Union are re-employed because the management of this company has decided not to allow trade unions to exist in that company. That struggle is ongoing, and we call upon all trade union movements in the world to declare full solidarity with the Trade Union Congress of Ghana and to continue this struggle until the Trade Union Congress of Ghana manages to stamp its authority on the rights of all workers to form trade unions. The trade unions must remember the role that they played under apartheid to bring the apartheid regime on its knees. We need to do that everywhere to ensure that our governments respect the rights of workers to form trade unions. And if it means boycotting goods, boycotting goods, if it means not handling goods that are in transit to countries that do not respect trade union rights, let us do it, and let us do it with vigor. Let us do it in order to empower trade union movements. Comrades and friends, there's a lot more. In Africa, we have seen the spread of foreign military bases. They are everywhere. In all the former French colonies, France is expanding its military bases. The United States of America has joined the fray and is building military bases from country to country to country. In Ghana, under a defense agreement, U.S. soldiers now have more privileges than diplomats. 1 terminal out of 3 terminals have been dedicated to the operations of the U.S. Army. We know that similar things are happening in the Zambia. And we know that imperialism is getting ready to wage a war of aggression against us. We must start a campaign now to not tomorrow for the dismantling of all foreign military bases on African continent, the African continent. And we should not compromise on this. And I mean all foreign military bases on the African continent. Comrades, because we know that these foreign military bases have not served my interests. I come from West Africa. Nigeria, which is the largest country in West Africa, Nigeria, which has 50% of the total population in West Africa, is in turmoil. You have the Boko Haram insurgency in the northeast. You have the low-intensity civil war in the Niger Delta. And then you have the problem of secession in Nigeria. Western military bases and presence has not helped to resolve these problems. As we speak here today, more than 50% of the land area of Burkina Faso is occupied by so-called Islamic insurgents. Togo has been attacked, Benin has been attacked, and we do know that Islamic insurgency is spreading across our continent. Comrades, we are capable of fighting our own battles. If the West and the force of imperialism will stop interfering in our countries. Say no to foreign military bases because we can build the armed forces capable of defending our interests. If we have listened to a certain Dr. Kwesi Pratt, S'bu Zikode, America Cabral, and others who advocated the establishment of the African High Command, we will not do it. So it is an important task today to insist on the dismantling of all foreign military bases in Africa. Comrades, we have often said that Africa is rich. And true, Africa is rich. We have everything. We have gold, we have diamonds, we have iron, we have rivers, we are close to the sea, we are bordered by the sea, we have intelligent human beings. We have a history which is rich, a history which is so rich, a history which is full of names, of Christianity, of Kwesi Pratt, of S'bu Zikode, of everybody else, America Cabral, a history so rich of the dead executions, gallant women who stood up and fought. That is our history. We are so rich in everything, and yet we are so very poor. This paradox ought to change. This ought to change. We ought to build that new Africa. That new Africa who stands shoulder to shoulder with all people. That new African who does not feel inferior. That new Africa who feels equal to the European. That new Africa who feels equal to the Asian. That new Africa who feels equal to everybody. That new Africa who is committed to changing the paradigm of development. That new Africa who is committed to building a world in which no child will go to bed on an empty stomach. That is the Africa we want to build. That is the Africa we will build, and no force can stop us from achieving this objective. We're worried. Let's do it. Comrades, there are many of us who sometimes forget that the national liberation struggle in Africa is not over. We forget that. We are forgetting that the people of the Saudi Arab Democratic Republic continue to suffer colonial occupation, Moroccan colonial occupation, and I cannot understand why we have allowed Morocco a seat in the African Union. Morocco does not deserve to be in the African Union because it violated all the principles of the African Union. We need to stand shoulder to shoulder with the people of the Saudi Arab Democratic Republic to continue that struggle until final victory is achieved and Moroccan occupation is brought to a disgraceful end. That is our commitment, and we must realize that commitment. As we speak, the people of the Chagos Island still suffer colonial occupation. They were driven out, taken out to the Chagos Island, and the islands have been turned into military bases for the forces of imperialism. It is now time for us, now time to stand with the people of Mauritius to wage that battle for the freedom of the Chagos Island. Our battle against classical colonialism must continue to its final end. And we must not forget that on 6 March 1957, Sergeant Dr. Kwesi Pratt declared that the independence of Ghana was meaningless until it was linked with the total liberation of the African continent. That clarion call is still valid today, and our independence in all of our countries will remain meaningless until